Yes, the recording is started. Over to you, Prasam.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Srishti. And hi all. Very good evening here in India time. Thank you so much for joining today on Saturday, giving the learning time. So I'm really very thankful for these organizers. They have such great event organized. Basically, nowadays, everywhere the buzz is around the security, including that was the personal one or the organization level, irrespective of any size of organization. It's a small size, mid size, or big organization. Security is a really buzz. Even on the like my personal level, how I handle my data, whether it is starting with the apps which I am using on the mobile, GPay and WhatsApp and all those kind of how and even the Facebook and these kind of things and how the security becoming a nowadays very important. So I'm really very thankful for organizing the events related to the cloud security and having so much experts and the learnings here and there. So it's really very great. Also great to be a part of this event and giving an opportunity to discuss the security related issue or the security related features. So yeah. So yes, you have an opportunity, the participants to win exciting prizes. So yeah, there are lots of very good prizes like including the tabs and OnePlus Pad and yeah, smartwatches and kind of thing. So yeah, stay tuned for this. Before starting, let's have something about myself. Myself, Prashant Sabadra. I'm working as Apex on company based in the Bangalore. I'm working from Pune. I'm working there as an architect. So my responsibility is having to we have a huge user base, around 1 lakh plus, and even the respective those modern communication site collections in SharePoint Online. So my responsibility is we are migrating from on-premises. We have huge on-premises systems starting with the MOS 2010, 13. So some we are migrating on the cloud. Some we are migrating to the SharePoint 2019 as per our data, the criticality and the importance of the data. So that one thing I was looking, then I'm also have like PowerShell is my favorite area. PowerShell plus Microsoft Graph APIs. Uh, as Microsoft is now everything is moving under the Graph APIs to access the data or to incorporate the data into the Microsoft 365 or Azure. So that was my one of the favorite topic. I have a one authored book as well for PowerShell, where sharing some important PowerShells for SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, Exchange Online, other Microsoft 365 features. So yeah, previously I was in Tieto almost around 10 years, and then joined the Apex on 2.5 years ago. So nowadays I'm very much keen interested in the learning the securities. There is a huge. I was going through the for preparing the presentation. I was going through some articles and I saw that the how the Microsoft invested in the securities and the leading from the front for the secure their customers' data or and the kind of things. I saw that they started with some years before with 3,000 plus employees working on the security, and now that number is keep growing. Not only the account of the employees, but the investment as well. So I'm really very keen to understand. So going through the Microsoft, even the Defender or the Purview or some Azure like Azure Sentinel, these kind of things. And when this discussion happened for this session, so I was discussing with Vignesh and really looking for the Power Platform securing data, either Power Platform or Dynamic 365. I, and then I was browsing through the article and I saw this customer logbox. So I thought this is already previously the customer logbox feature is with the SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, Exchange Online. Then why not with that was discussed, and then Microsoft have this customer logbox feature with the Power Platform and D365 as well. And so that is this topic comes into the picture. Yeah, that was about myself, what currently I am doing. I write articles as well on mostly on the securities, current feature updates, major updates from the Microsoft. Also, my area of interest, I'm very keen on the governance part, whether it is related to the SharePoint or the Power Platform or the Microsoft Teams governance. So yeah, we have implemented lots of PowerShell scripts to have governance in place, using the Graph APIs or Graph API plus .NET Core or .NET framework applications, that kind of thing. So yes. So today we are going to, this is one of the, actually this is very small feature, but then this is the feature from the premium one. It required the managed environment in Power Platform. It's in premium capabilities for Power Platform. So today we are going to discuss what is the background for Customer Logbox feature, what exactly this Customer Logbox feature, how to enable Customer Logbox in our tenant for Power Platform, because there are different settings like for SharePoint as well. It's there for Microsoft Teams as well. It's there for Exchange Online as well. It's there. So we're going to see how to enable the customer logbox in our tenant for Power Platform, how to review these the customer logbox request, what exactly happen when this customer logbox is enabled. Then in this in the auditing in Microsoft Preview, if we go to the reports and audits, there is a customer logbox request as well. If we select the appropriate activity of the Microsoft Power Platform customer logbox activities, and then what are the licensing requirement for customer logbox. So this might be a small session, but important one. One of the key security feature that we must, as a Power Platform developer, architect, or while working on the Power Platform features like Power App or Power Automate, we should know this customer logbox feature. So what is the background? Let's start with the first Power Platform security. We'll just discuss why this security is very important for Power Platform. One of the basic, very simple and understanding is we always discuss that it is like a citizen development. Our Power Platform allows us to create an end-to-end solution with non-technical professionals as well. Developers as well, design the Power App form, connect the data source, submit the data, and there you go. That kind of small applications are as well in place. So, so that is the reason, one of the basic reason why security is implementation or the security for my Power Platform applications is very important. So these kind of solutions or the non-technical professionals also who might know don't know the technical things or the technical things related to the securities. So that was one of the reason. And then what are the other concerns when, yeah, these are some common concerns which applies to all the Power Platform services like, but then there are different few concerns on the different services as well. But here we'll discuss what are these common concerns, like how to control the connections when when we are saying that, okay, we Power Platform, or when we use the Power App, these many connections are, or Power Automate, these many connections are available. We will connect to the like with the different data sources. So how this connection happens? Who could connect those? What are the requirement for the uh, connecting or to happen those connections? Most important, how the data is stored, in which format that data is stored, whether data is encrypted or not in Dataverse or in in the wherever I'm storing my data in SharePoint or something, whether how in which format it is stored, whether it is secured or not, who can control and protect sensitive data, how to making that make sure that the data is not leak, whatever the my data, my customers data, which is up to mark, whatever they are storing, that is that it's not leak. Who can audit the data? That was the most important point, again auditing the my data, because most of the security and the compliance related like certifications or ISOs kind of these things require the auditing of the data. So, and if after all, if something happens, something wrong happens, how I could very immediately mitigate the risk, or how I could respond it, who will seek, how I'll make sure that whatever the suspicious activities happen, I'm responding to them. Alerts are generating through the uh, we have the security score of the organization where we have like different alerts are generated if threats are happening, or we could set the rules as well if this kind of file or this safe attachment rules, that's kind of rules or alerts we could set. So how to respond those, how to behave on those. So these kind of the customer concerns regarding the securities, the challenges when we have the our application or uh, our project into the cloud. So yeah, and Microsoft is really investing a huge. They have like we know that how the security implement or the securities for the Azure or even the Microsoft 365. There are the different products like Microsoft 365 Defender, Microsoft 365 365 Defender for apps, for cloud, for mails, exchange. Different defenders options are there. Then there is a Microsoft Purview portal for the compliances where we could have the governance in place. DLPs are in place. So Microsoft is like have the security concept at high point. Then next, how this Power Platform security is based. This Power Platform security is based on the implementation of the security for Azure and Microsoft 365. So Power Platform uses the same security stack which Azure uses, and Azure security stack is very vast. It's starting with like the kernel level security or the OS level security or the zero trust implementations, and there are the Azure DSSOS attacks and all. It was that was the worst security stack for Azure, and Power Platform security is based on that foundation only. So there it start the Power Platform security. Power Platform also security implementation integrates with, as we are discussing, Microsoft 365 advanced information and protection compliance tools like Microsoft Purview, security tool like Microsoft Defender 36, Microsoft 365 Defender. Not only this, but Microsoft Power Platform service also follows the security development lifecycle. So what is this security development lifecycle? I share their link. There are 12 to 13 set of strict practices which enables or which assures our customers that the security is in place and the compliance requirements are get handled, and which helps to build like a more secured and compliant applications using Power Platform or the softwares. So yeah, there are only 13 practices, um, but yeah, Power Platform follows the uh, security development lifecycle. So Power Platform security in nutshell basically based on the foundation of Azure and Microsoft 365 security implementations. Then it also follows the security development life cycles. We could go whenever you have a chance, you could have that list of the practices which are the security implementations which Power Platform follows. Okay. Then, what are the common security concepts for Power Platform? So, how the flows through the different services of the Power Platform, or how the Power Platform service architecture is built, how we are authenticating to the Power Platform services or user gains to uh, access to the Power Platform services, how I could connect when I connect to the different data sources, like through Power Apps, I connect to the SharePoint or SQL data source, how the authentication of the data source happens, how those data services connect to and gain the SharePoint data or put the data into the SharePoint kind of thing. What is the data storage for the Power Platform? Whether how it is protected, whether it's in the REST or in the Ranjit, all those CIA that was the CIA trained was followed or not, that confidential integrated, and yeah, it's up to the mark when between the transit happens between the different services or the different system of the Power Platform. So these are the common, very common security Power Platform security concepts for each service applied to the each service of the Power Platform. Now, let's discuss over the topic of the customer logbox. What is the customer logbox basically? This feature started with Microsoft SharePoint Online or Exchange Online. Then it's enabled with the Microsoft Teams and now for the Power Platform as well. But what is the customer logbox? See, most of the times in our organization, even when we work now on our migration projects or the SharePoint online projects, or if we implement the governance or automation, some features won't work as expected, something. And most of the time, and since these are keep changing, these cloud services, Microsoft cloud services are so dynamic. Even the Azure service, you can say, or the Microsoft 365 services, or those are keep changing. Microsoft keep updating, and so sometimes few things we don't didn't work for us, we didn't get the solutions or something, and then we need to approach to the Microsoft. Okay, this is the so we have with our license, based on the license requirement, we have the Microsoft support feature in place as well. So we sometimes we raise a support ticket as we couldn't solve the issue. We need to go to the or our customer or our users demand such thing like that. Okay, we need to give the solution. Okay, if this is a possible, they might not listen to us. We need to go to the Microsoft support, and then need to take them to the, okay, this feature we can't implement, or this is not the best practice, or we shouldn't do this way. So most of the time we approach to the Microsoft in this case, to adopt ourselves with the new features or to solve our organization's users issues or organization issue. At that time, what happens? Microsoft may get access to the our data in our organization. Say my one SharePoint site, there is an issue and I couldn't fix it. And on that SharePoint site, there are the customer data. Documents are uploaded, PDFs are uploaded, and yeah, the list. There are some content into the list. So there is some customer data. So Microsoft may get that access, that to the customer data. So to restrict that, or at least as a site owner, as a tenant owner, or say global admin, or SharePoint admin, or Power Platform admin, I must know that what kind of data, my customer data, the Microsoft personnel who is resolving or who is working on my issue, a ticket, is getting access. Whether if that data is very sensible or something, whether I should allow him um, to get the access to that data to resolve the issue, or I should stop there. No, you can't get this data access and something. Previously, that was even means previously this feature was not there. When this feature came now, the customer logbox, then we have as a admin, either global admin in case of the SharePoint, there are some customer logbox approver group personals. In case of Power Platform, there is a Power Platform admin. So as a admin, whenever Microsoft try to access our data for solving issues or something updates from Microsoft, they need to we have a good UI there, and they need to get the confirmation or the approval from our organization guys, either from global admin or respective admin in case of the different Microsoft 365 services. So that was there. But then here, when first time I was working on that customer, means I was going through customer logbox for SharePoint Online. Then I have one doubt in that if already Microsoft is saying that we are very secure, no data is accessible, and all those things, then why this extra feature required? But then this also helps uh, to have the approval for the other like HIPAA kind of certifications, and for this kind of, so it helps to have those in place as well, and the customer logbox feature. So that is even though this is a very small step, either I need to enable, first thing I need to take the decision whether I need to enable the customer logbox feature in my tenant or not, because it applies then throughout. Like if I apply, go to the Power Platform, I'll show you how to do that. But if we go to the Power Platform Admin Center, enable it, then it applies for all the services and for all the requests from any services for that to access the content and data. So uh, this is the background behind that, whenever any Microsoft personal, this is only specific, this is like security for my organization, in security in between for my organization and the Microsoft support, you could call it as, or Microsoft personals, or even with Microsoft. And with these settings I get an access. And second important thing is I get an audit logs. Then what happened, which content is accessed, when this service is requested, for what time this service is requested, who has approved from organization side, who has rejected from the organization side, from Microsoft perspective, when they requested, what then in between they access, when that services get expired, these kind of things. So I have an audit log for that, and by default that was for 1 year, but then there are different licensing available to extend it. So customer logbox is a feature which allows us to provide, which provides an UI interface to review and take appropriate action, either approve or reject the request from the Microsoft personal request to access our data, while solving the issues, or updating tenant, anything. So this customer logbox get applied for all the data sources when we apply in the tenant. How it works? One important, very important point for Power Platform, this customer logbox feature is only for the managed environments. Now, what is a managed environment? That is again a different session. But in nutshell, if we speak, managed environment allows us to have the certain features extra, which is with our normal license, the environments, like logbox, even including this logbox feature, um, my weekly users insights, how the users have accessed the my Power Platform and the services, and yeah, data policies, extended backups, etc. There are the list is big. I mean, good amount of features are there. So this logbox will work only for the managed environment, and the managed environment is a separate individual licensing get applied, like for Power App or Power Automate, that one. And then other licenses, we'll see what are the licenses are required to have this feature in place. In case of Power Platform, we require two roles to enable logbox policy. One is a global administrator, and then other is a Power Platform administrator. The users with having these two rules can apply, can enable or disable the logbox policy in the tenant. Okay, so at least you will require a global administrator or a Power Platform administrator to do this. Let's see how to enable logbox policy in our tenant. So I want to go the step by step in the presentation. Let's see in the UI actually. I have my development tenant. Let me open that. So this is my tenant, knowledge junction one .sharepoint.com. Let's go to the, so what we are saying, we are going to see the demo how to enable customer logbox feature in the tenant. So I'll go to the admin center. Here in the presentation, I have detailed steps with the snaps and how to do it. So you will get an idea. We could go to the Microsoft. We could navigate to the. We need to navigate to the Power Platform Admin Center. We could navigate to the Power Platform Admin Center through Admin Center Microsoft 365 Admin Center, or we could directly have the URL as well in a place. So it's admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com. Let's have it. Yeah, admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com. So when I'm here, I could go to the settings. So I'm into the Power Platform Admin Center. I'm logged in with as a user as a global administrator. So it's the Prasham at knowledge junction one dot on Microsoft.com. This user is the global administrator. So I'm going to the settings. There are different tenant level settings. Either we could go from this one option as well, and we could go from the second. That was one option from settings from left pane. Otherwise, second we have the Power Platform set from gear icon. Under settings, we have the Power Platform settings. On the some of the articles, there are different labels there. Microsoft has updated those something tenant level setting or something. But then when we click on Power Platform settings, we will redirect it to the tenant settings page of the Power Platform Admin Center. Note the URL. That was the tenant settings. And on the tenant settings, we have the different settings, and then we have the customer logbox setting, which controls the Microsoft operator access to the customer environment. So what exactly happens? Before that, there is a note. This icon you are saying, environment routing, which is in preview, weekly digest, customer logbox. These icons indicate that these are the features only applied to the managed environment of the Power Platform. Okay, so we need to note this. So when I click on this customer logbox, this right pane open, and here the different licenses which are required. Those are also mentioned. This is good tutorial link. I mean learning Microsoft Learning link as well. And note, customer logbox policy will be enforced only on the environment that are activated for managed environment. There is one managed environment in this tenant. So I was playing before the session, so it's already enabled. We could disable it from here as well, and we could enable it from here as well. So since it's enabled, save button is the disable. Okay. So this is the way either global administrator or Power Platform administrator could edit this setting. Once this customer logbox setting is enabled, so whenever Microsoft Personal try to access the data, there is one approval access workflow internally Microsoft is uses. That workflow triggers. Now, what is that workflow? Let's see. Let me go to the presentation. So these are the different steps covered in the presentation. Yeah, this is the workflow. So how this workflow works? So the first point, even though it's not usable, I'll read it. This is the user from our organization, or our organization personal has raised the Microsoft ticket. Okay, support ticket. That was the first step. Then in the next step, say Microsoft personal receives the ticket and start working on it. He identifies the problem, and then Microsoft personal also identify that he need to access some data, customer data. So since the customer logbox feature is enabled, it comes to the approval to my global administrator or Power Platform administrator. Before that, MS Engineer or Microsoft Personal triggers an approval process to access this customer data, irrespective of logbox policy is enabled or not. That process is enabled. If it is enabled, then the mail comes to the global administrator or the Power Platform administrator. As in our tenant, customer logbox is policy is enabled. We get the approval request with these details. What is the support request ID, which is the environment, what is the status? We'll discuss this as well. Requested when it will be the request will expired within 4 days. It need to be approved. When it will be the access will expire, because access is again for specific duration. And here in background, it is used as a privileged identity management PIM access, just-in-time access is Azure, that service is used. So access expiration and what for access period. So as request comes to with these details to global administrator or Power Platform administrator, before that, that request goes to the MS Personals manager as well. Whether you are allowing me to have this request in place, uh, to access the data for this ticket or for this activity or for this support. If Microsoft managers approves, then that request comes to the our organization's approvers. In case of SharePoint, there is a like global admin, and there is a another group, they call it as like customer logbox approvers. But in case of Power Platform, it's a global administrator and the Power Platform administrator. So email notification and the pending access request is goes. If request is rejected or not approved in 4 days, no access is granted to the Microsoft engineer. But then if it is, say, our administrators, organization administrators approves this request, the Microsoft engineer who works, he get daily limited permissions and to like its approval, go ahead. You could use that, you could access that data and solve the issues. So that was the internal workflow process, approval workflow process, which is getting triggered when Microsoft personals or support engineer request for the data in our tenant. And that's why this is also very important now, because our administrators, organization administrators, got to know what this person is going to which data is going to the access and for what time he has a permissions, and all those things are in place. And that's why this is also one of the important feature, having the customer logbox feature enabled in our tenant, not only for the Power Platform, for other services as well, like we discussed for SharePoint, Exchange, Teams, for these kind of things. Now, once I enable, say, the customer logbox in my tenant, and how I will manage those requests. I know that we get the mail. I couldn't show you the mail because since this is my development tenant and I don't have Microsoft ticket and yeah, but then this I took from the Microsoft site. This kind of mail comes to our administrators, global administrators or Power Platform administrator, approve this logbox request and with the details, when it will expire, for how much the access period required. Default access period is 8 hours. So within 8 hours, they need to like look into the issues, and then the review request will take the page in the admin. uh, let's go to the again portal. So there are the policies in the right, in the left pane. If you see, there are the policies, and there is a customer logbox. So here the request comes, all the pending request before 8 days or something, or 28 days, those comes under the pending tab. And if the request are old one, those comes under the recent tab. So here it request comes, since this is again my development tenant, I don't have any request to show. But then here, once the request is selected, the options get approve or deny. And from here, note the page, logbox request page under the governance. So from governance under the logbox request page, any admin who has the approval rights could approve or deny the request. So this is way the all the customer logbox request are managed. So they get the notification as well, email notification as well for any request. And then we have in the admin center, there is a customer logbox, this kind of thing. Okay. So this is where those are managed. Now, how if I want the audit? There is it support the audit as well, but the audit records or audit reports are supported through the different portal called Microsoft Defender. So if I go to the say for example admin center, from admin center I could go to under from Microsoft 365 admin center. Under admin centers there is a security. This is nothing but the security.microsoft.com, but Microsoft 365 Defender portal. So if I click on here, I will be redirected to on the Microsoft 365 Defender. Here you could see the homepage for the Microsoft 365 Defender. Still loading. Yeah. Yeah. So this like welcome to Microsoft Defender. Let me directly go under the report section. There is audit option. So this is the new audit page uh, which Microsoft supports. Under the activities, if I could start typing Power Platform, searching Power Platform, here you will see Power Platform logbox activities. So updated logbox access request or perform logbox command. You could like and search here. Here in my tenant, since there is like here it shows like this is they queues the this request which is put through this search. In morning I was trying with this, and then now it is queued again. So it shows the completed and total result as well. But then since we don't have any customer logbox request here, it no data available we have. But if the requests are available, we could export them as well. We could review it as well, and we have which kind of activities and who is the user and IP address. Actually, there are two types of logs are get generated. One is for the like from Microsoft side, when Microsoft personal request, and one is from our let me show you on the slide actually, so that we saw how to see this. Yeah. Yeah. So one is request when created by Microsoft. So request created when it get expired, when access session ends, how much time will that data will be accessible to Microsoft personal. These kind of logs are generated. And the second kind of logs are like from our side, the organization side, from the admin's side, whether approval or denial of the request, whether admin has approved the request or denied the request, and this kind of log. So there are two types of records or logs are generated in the audit search in Microsoft 365 Defender portal for the customer logbox. Then by default, these audit logs are stored for 1 year. But if we need to extend it for compliance purpose or for audit purpose, for security purpose, if we need to preserve those logs, then more than a year, then we have need a separate license called retention add-on license. So that's license we will require it to preserve or to store the logs for more than 1 year. One more point, important point I need to, yeah. Once the request is approved, it cannot be revoked. So admin need to have, uh, have a clear understanding of the what data it's okay to give the access or not okay to give the access or something kind of thing, because it's approved, it's not revoked. Okay, that was one important point. And other thing, logbox request page where we saw all the requests, and these are the kind of fields we get like environment, the manage environment name, which is getting displayed, support ticket ID, Microsoft support ticket ID, then status, whether action needed, pending or approval from the organization side, no approval received within the 4 days, so it get expired, it's approved or it's denied. This kind of status is there. Then the different times are maintained when the Microsoft engineer requested access, because these times then they need to count for the 4 days kind of thing to expire the respective request. Then the request expiration, the time by which the customer need to approve the log, otherwise it will get expired given by that time. Then the access period, the length of the time for which or the duration for which we need to give the access to data. This is currently by default 8 hours, and yeah, that was strictly, currently we can't change it. And then if access is granted this in time until the Microsoft engineer has the access. So these kind of fields with the request in the logbox request details page, which we saw where all the requests are listed, this kind of details we will have there. Okay. So yeah, this is how to reviews those requests. Then we have how to
Prasham, just
audit.
a reminder, 5 minutes left.
Yes, yes, thank you. Uh, yeah, okay. I'll be winding up. Just have the licensing requirement as we discussed. This is the premium feature. This is only available for Power Platform for managed environments, and managed environment is included in the standalone like Power App or Power Automate, that gives the premium usage rights. In addition to that, there are the licenses where logbox policies can be enforced, like Microsoft 365 or Office 365 A5, E5, G5, compliance one, risk management one licenses, and then information protection and governance one. So that kind of license currently it is required to have this kind of policy in place. And same for that Microsoft Defender 365 to get the audit log if the respective license are the user who is accessing those audit log and don't have the respective license, the log won't get written. So yeah, this is I want to demonstrate today. Want to introduce customer logbox feature. This is not only for this Power 365 and Dynamic 365, but it is also in place for SharePoint Online, Microsoft Exchange Online as well. So that is the this feature I want to discuss, introduce today. And then as I mentioned initially as well, I'm really very thankful for those all the sponsors for sponsoring and promoting these kind of events, having the interactions with the different kind of experts from different fields related to the security. So really very thankful for this kind of wonderful events. And before starting, means asking for question, next session is again very good session, career in cyber security, where to start. It's very confusing point for the starters. I know that where to start the career in cyber security. So yeah, it's really very helpful, and we'll get I guess good insights to start the cyber security career from Jasmine. Thank you. Then any question?
Thanks, Prasam. Anyone has any questions because we still have 1 minute. If you have, please unmute and ask Prasam. And as I mentioned, this topic, Prasam, is really new for many of us, Lockbox. So thank you for spreading some insights.
Thank you so much, Rishti.